that you need to interview this guy, Leroy Thorpe. He's been around a long time. He's a historic figure in Shaw. And she did that. She came to the house and we started talking about my work in the Shaw community. And I have to commend her because I've added this is the sixth book that have been written in the District of Columbia with my name in it regarding drugs, politics, race, and crime. And I think she probably did the best job because she didn't have any agenda. She wasn't basically influenced by any naysayers. She just came in fresh with this book regarding the 3 Northwest West neighborhood, Shaw, Ledroit Park, in Bloomingdale.
Welcome to the Daily Detox Podcast. I'm your man, Dion J. And today we have back again, always welcome, the most infamous Leroy Monty Thorpe Jr. Welcome back to the show, good brother.
Bismillah, under him. I like to always give praise to Allah every time I wake up and whatever I endeavor, because without him, there would be no Al Hajj Mati Leroy J. Thorpe Jr.
We'll just get right to it. There's a book out. It's called Shaw, Ledroit Park in Bloomingdale in Washington, D.C., an oral history. And you're referencing the book.
Let me just say that I really want to commend the author, Shilpi Metalunsky, who actually lives in Shaw, for writing this book. She actually approached me after a white couple that live in Shaw, Amy and Bill, who has a beautiful daughter, little girl. They actually are good friends with Shelby, and they told her that you need to interview this guy, Leroy Thorpe. He's been around a long time. He's a historic figure in Shaw. And she did that. She came to the house and we started talking about my work in the Shaw community. And I have to commend her because I've added this is the sixth book that have been written in the District of Columbia with my name in it regarding drugs, politics, race, and crime. And I think she probably did the best job because she didn't have any agenda. She wasn't basically influenced by any naysayers. She just came in fresh with this book regarding the 3 Northwest West neighborhood, Shaw, Ledroit Park, in Bloomingdale. Shaw located in Ward 6, Bloomingdale in Wards 5, and Ledroit Park in Wards 1. That may change with the new redistricting that's going on in the city right now before the city council. But I want to say, let me just say, there's one area in the book. She mentioned the master's degree in the houses from Howard is not. It's actually that one that's hanging up the wall is from the University of Columbia, and she failed to mention that I was both a graduate student at Howard and the University of the District of Columbia regarding my master's. And I am a licensed social worker and a licensed professional counselor in the District of Columbia. So I just wanted to add that for clarification. One thing about that. First of all, everybody, then please go out and get the book, Shaw, Ledroit Park in Bloomingdale.
Hold up to the camera.
You can get it. You can get this book at Politics and Prose, or you can order it on Amazon.com. It's a very good book on the history of the 3 neighborhoods, Shaw, Ledroit Park, and Bloomingdale. So and there's other academic papers that's been written on my work fighting crime and drugs in the city. I pioneered the Citizen Patrol movement back in 1988 with the Red Hats Patrol group, a group of volunteer citizens or neighbors of mine in Shaw. We went out fighting drugs, had a lot of marches, generated a lot of publicity, international publicity from Canada, Japan. Got 3 congressional records on that, fighting drugs in the United States Congress, multiple city council resolutions and proclamations from the mayor, a host of police awards and that type of thing. And we're still active today. Mayor Kelly at the time, Mayor Sharon Prey Kelly, tapped me to run her community patrol support office to basically facilitate all the different type of neighborhood patrol groups they had back in the 80s and early 90s. You had white hats, red hats, yellow hats, green hats, orange hats. and she tapped me to be a part of her constituent services office to facilitate them with walkie talkies, hats, um, that type of thing. Police support and that type of thing. And I was very grateful that the mayor did that. We haven't been a mayor since that have used that type of tool that we had back then, citizen patrol, which was not didn't cost the city any money to do something like that. Just basically neighbors coming together, and this current mayor is not utilizing that tool.
Why do you
And
think so? Why she's not? Why do you think she's not
maybe she
utilizing this
doesn't.
tool?
Maybe, or well, let me just say her father was an orange hatter because I remember Mr. Bowser, Muriel Bowser father, the mayor of DC, Muriel Bowser. Her father was a red hat, sorry, orange hat member in Ward 5, because I remember going out with them and patrolling and talking with them. I don't know why she hasn't done that. I don't, particularly when this is almost the murder capital now of the DMV. We're approaching 200 murders, and we're still in November. I don't know why she haven't done that. I don't know if it's politics. I don't know because it's her being naive. I don't know what the situation is, but she knows. Someone should have told her because there's a lot of Kappas that supported her to be mayor, and I'm a Kappa, and you're a Kappa, and someone I'm pretty sure would have told her that's close to her. I know a lot of people that are Kappas that supported her that probably would tell her.
All right.
I don't know what her problem is.
Let's give a shout out to Cap Alpha Psi. Everybody, give a little hand clap
Absolute
for.
Kappa Alpha
Yeah,
Psi Incorporated.
yeah. We'll say something to the Newts.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about I'll hit just briefly on Ledroit Park, which is a community that historically where the first mayor of DC, Mayor Washington, lived. His house is still there. Jesse Jackson lives there. Very influential Northwest community, Ledroit Park. However, back in the 80s, it was inundated with a lot of drug selling, shootings, and crime. When you start talking about the late 1990s into the going to 2000, you talk about actually whites coming in, gentrifying, longtime neighborhood activists being not reelected for the ANC spots and that type of thing, because white folks generally come into white communities, they gentrify, I mean, black communities, they gentrify, and they don't support the leadership there. They basically got their own agenda. They come in trying to take old people houses and get in touch with them and
Right.
work.
You get some calls here and there,
I
right?
get them all the time. I mean, I
Right.
get they get them all the time. And what they do is befriend a lot of these old folks and make them think that they're friends with them. But then they go to work with the developers and the real estate agents and try to get the houses and that type
Yeah.
of thing. Get a heads up on that to work out a deal. And a lot of these folks has been duped into basically selling the houses very cheap
Right.
that they inherited from the family. I mean, they see you out. It's basically they're preying on folks, and particularly African Americans, and to get their houses, and particularly when they're old. And a lot of folks that are old don't have that type of support, family support, and they can come in, befriend them, and then they take in the house. I've seen it done in show actually. So the thing is that. That's Ledroit Park. Bloomingdale, the same thing. Bloomingdale was inundated with drugs back in the day. Those communities now are heavily gentrified with little mom and pop cafes and
Right.
that type of thing. And
Also,
uh,
too, remember a few months ago, I think it was probably like maybe early last year, where it was directed toward Howard University, where people were walking their dogs on campus in the Shaw area,
absolutely,
and people.
White gentrifiers walking their dogs and picnicking on the campus of Howard University. Well, a local reporter on the Fox affiliate did an interview, and this white man, y'all, I can't even just roll the tape.
They're in part of D.C., so they have to work within D.C. If they don't want to be within D.C., then move the campus. I think we need to work together, and I don't think it should be a he or there or here. It's our community, and that's how it should be.
Okay, you can come back. What time?
What? I'm sorry. Teresa, what the hell? Howard University should move?
No, Howard University should move, but this is the definition of white privilege, and what's going on in DC as it relates to gentrification. So I hear them as they say our community, but our campus and our tuition is two very different scenarios. The Howard University leadership obviously needs to address this and make sure policies are put into place since there's so much gentrification that's going on in that area. But also, I'm actually glad that the local affiliate of Fox actually did do a piece on this, because it does show the disgrace and the disproportionate devisement of what's going on with some white Americans. And so I think, again, if Howard University needs to make sure they put a stop to this, because they wouldn't do this to the Georgetown universities or the Lands and the American University, because it wouldn't even got to the local affiliate station if that happened at their school. So there definitely has to be some policy in place to ensure the safety and security of our students.
Malik, Greg Carr, of course, chair of Howard University's Afro-American Studies Department, frequent panelist on this show. He tweeted this 2 hours ago. Dogs got nothing to do with it. They go where they're taken and where they're allowed. This is all about people. And in this country, no group respects black people until they're made to. Walk your dog on a HU campus and find out how much we respect ourselves, Malik.
I love Greg. I'm so glad that he's a panelist on your show, and I think his tweet is spot on. Actually, if I were you, I'd love to see an interview with you, Greg, and this guy and see how that went for him. Look, this guy got 2.3 minutes of fame saying something really crazy out of his mouth. But he is a token or an indicative of a greater issue, and that is, to Teresa's point, white privilege and its boldness, the fact that it is getting bolder every day. The gall to say that your dog walking has more priority than the education of any individual, let alone minorities, is absolutely insane. Let's not give him any more attention, but let's focus on what's happening with gentrification and how we can protect not just our universities, but the communities around it that support it as well.
But Davon, we have to, focus on this, because what he said is what he articulated, what many people think, and it's that sort of attitude, oh, y'all should move, when Howard has been there when his ass would not move into a black neighborhood.
Yeah, and I would actually take it a step further. That statement is an extension or a representation of the larger colonial mentality that is a part of the collective American consciousness, where black people are literally just objects of other people's thought experiments, where black people simply serve as commodities to be trafficked for the interest of white institutions and white folks' pleasure. And so when you think about gentrification and the way that it's happening around the country, you have like the kind of hipster kind of profile, the kind of person that is proximate enough to black suffering, that there's a sense of enjoyment from being in close proximity to it, while at the same time, having interest in really just destroying communities and neighborhoods from which black people live and struggle every day for the purpose of their own enjoyment. And that's the quintessential mechanism of colonialism. And as Dr. Carr said, the way to fight colonialism is that as black people, we need to stand up and challenge when white folks engage in activity, engage in discourse that justifies the dehumanization of our people.
Well, I'm proud of Howard. Howard stepped up to the plate on that. The president, had put out something, social media, whether defending the Howard community right to be independent of such so-called folks bringing their dog on the campus, on the yard, and pooping and that type of thing, and thinking they own that particular private university, and the students rose up as well to fight that type of entitlement they thought that white people had through gentrification.
Because the guy references, hey, if you don't like it, then you guys should move to college.
Very Eric. Well, that's how they are. That's how most of them are. With the arrogancy and that subtle racism. Shaw, man, has a lot of history. You got the father of Black history. There, the Carter G. Woodson House. Man, you had Duke Ellington that lived in Shaw. I mean, you have a lot of historic figures that came out of.
You got the Lincoln Theater.
I mean, everything came out of Howard Theater, the Lincoln Theater,
Chili Bowl.
Yeah. You have a lot of historic things going in. But what happened again back in the 2000s, particularly late 1990s, you had white gentrification come in, and what they did is start buying up all these abandoned buildings and tearing them down and making their businesses. And if you look along this U Street corridor, the 7th Street corridor in Shaw, they're basically white businesses, and they don't employ black people unless it's a menial position as a security guard or cook or something like that. And really, I have to blame to a degree black people, because these black politicians didn't train anybody to take their place or look out for black people to be able to get these properties and let them know about how to improve properties and that type of thing, how to help them with businesses and that type
Was
of
this
thing.
under Mayor Anthony Williams'
Well,
watch?
Anthony Wynn was an architect of basically bringing in a lot of white folks to this city because he wanted to increase the population at the time. You're looking at you're looking at the 80s and the 90s. You're talking about the plight in the city. The city went through receivership under Marion Barry. You had a control board. So when Anthony Williams came on board, Anthony Williams wanted new folks to come into the city. And most of these folks that were coming to the city were basically white folks that was migrating from other parts of the country. And black people were left out. Wasn't any type of plan. They start closing down the vocational schools that black people used to go to get barber training, carpenter training, building trade trainings, or cosmetic training. Those were outlets like Armstrong School in Shaw that basically provide an opportunity for black people to get certificates and license reading to go into business and be independent economic. However, when the city council started changing, and white folks wanted to do away with these vocational trainings, and black people did not stand up, the black politicians didn't stand up to see the need, how these so-called vocational training schools were actually helping black people economically, socially.
I mean, I think some of the gentrification kind of somewhat helped the city in a way, because we got a baseball team, we got the soccer, which brings money back into the city. You see what I'm saying? From the people who work in the city, and then they leave to go out to Virginia and Maryland. So you have people who have interest in baseball. Because when I first got here back in '97, we didn't have a baseball team here. So, and we didn't have any soccer here. All we had was basketball and football.
Yeah, but when you look at that position, yeah, you have the soccer, a new soccer stadium, a
Right.
soccer team. You have
And not basketball, women's basketball as well.
Exactly. But black people are being pushed out the city. Don't forget now, these people are coming into basically black historic neighborhoods. You're
Right.
talking about the Southwest Corridor and pushing out public housing and pushing these black people out into Virginia, West Virginia, and Maryland, and taking a property and building these so-called economic type of structures where they can benefit. There's a tax base, but the question is, are black people benefiting from that? Black people they don't own the concession stands. Black people
Right.
doesn't have a minority part or buy-in partnership with the soccer team, with the basketball team, the baseball team, and the football team, which plays out in Maryland. So you have to say, okay, yeah, it's coming in, but who's benefiting? I mean, then when you look at the amenities regarding the city economic development, the amenities are for white people. You got bike lanes and stuff like that for white people, and everything. You have dog parks for white people to take
Right.
their dogs, and you have beer gardens now. When you look at the beer gardens, they're basically owned by white folks.
Right.
And black people are the security guards or the help. So you talk about how the city is prospering.
Right.
White folks getting richer and richer, and black people getting poor and poorer, and they can't afford to live in the city. So
Right.
that's a problem, and that's why these black people, when they vote, they shouldn't vote for black people because they vote, because they're black. You shouldn't vote for black people because they're black. You should vote for black people that will give you that have your interests at heart, and then where you have access. And it's because mostly these black politicians right now are catering to white voters, and just to stay in power, and they're selling their people out. They don't care. They're talking out of both sides of their mouth. But when you look at things here, clearly you can see that the city is changing, but black people are being left behind. So when you look
Yeah.
at this particular book, when you look at the old transformation of how the city was basically, economically broke, drug problems, then the prosperity came in with redevelopment, new development, was taking place in black communities, and black people got pushed out. And then you have some of these so-called middle class black people that okay, the drugs are gone, but they just happy that their people are not there, and just happy to be validated by some white folks, that want to come in and control the neighborhood politics. They want to control the economics and the social aspect, even the schools. They even fought the historic Banneker High School, a high academic school that was right across from Howard University, which is now newly built in Shaw. The mayor, I give her credit for having that, but they didn't even want that there. They wanted middle school, so their little kids, since they gentrify, can go to middle school. They didn't want to support that black academic school. So that's the downfall when you start talking about gentrification.
Yeah, isn't the Maya Angelou school in
That's that's Benjamin Banneker School.
Banneker School?
Benjamin Banneker Academic School. Very good school.
Okay, that's off of 9th Street, right?
That's right on 9th Street. Right, exactly.
Okay, yeah, I remember I spoke at that school one time for
when it was up at Howard, of course, from exactly, on Georgia Avenue. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it seems like that area, Shaw and Ledroit Park and Bloomingdale, got hit pretty hard with the pandemic. I mean, there's so many businesses that shut down in that area.
Well, it has, but I personally, I don't have any sad feelings for them because they didn't employ black people. They came in with greed, and they saw an opportunity to get property or rent property through entitlement, and black people were just left out. So
it's a lot of new real estate over there too. I mean, they got condos everywhere in that community. I remember I used to live off of 5th of Rhode Island, and I mean that area has totally been revamped with condos everywhere. And I couldn't even buy a home over there. I had to move across the bridge to Southeast because it got so expensive over there.
And I tell people right now, there's folks right now, you have a lot of people that want to buy homes, and you get multiple mails, phone calls, and that type of thing. And I tell people, do not sell your property, because once you sell your property in District of Columbia, you're not going to be able to come back in and afford anything unless you are $500,000 or more just to rent someplace. So if you can find something that you can basically rehab, so don't sell your property. Don't sell your property at all. And if you do got some property, rent to somebody black.
Yeah, but they got a lot of regulations with Airbnb in the city now, right? Where you have to actually live in your property in order to Airbnb it out. Like you have to kind of reside in there at some point during the month. You can't just have it as a traditional rental property anymore.
Well, that's good. That's
on the Airbnb.
Well, that's a good thing, because people have basically been making a whole lot of money off of people after getting black people property cheap, and then making a fortune off it in terms of rehabbing it, and then, like you said, using it for other economic means. So I don't have any ill feelings towards that new law.
So in the book, you speak on a few things. What things did you mention in the book? You sit on the board of the Shaw Civic Association as well, right?
Well, I'm actually the president of
the
Shaw East Central Civic Association. That's a historic civic association that was formed back in the 60s during segregation, where blacks couldn't join neighborhood associations that were mostly white, or white rather, and they couldn't join it, so they started their own civic association. That's where that concept came from, where black people can come together and deal with the issues. And also, when Martin Luther King was assassinated back in 1968, they had a lot of rioting on Shaw, a lot of rioting on 7th Street. East Central Civic Association played a prominent role in getting up there and making people calm down and keeping the peace.
Shaw runs into Howard University as well, right?
You have actually no. Yes, and no. Meaning that if you look at Howard University, you look at the Howard the Howard Theater, the Howard in that particular area on 7th Street, probably in the 1800 block. You have some Howard property. You have Howard property. They do own property in the Shaw community, but itself, the university itself is basically in Ward 1, Ledroit Park, Ledroit Park area. But it does have aspects of property to own in Shaw.
Well, man, this was a good interview, man.
Well, I thank you. I mean, like I said before, Frat, that you always promote black issues, black people, and we have to step up to the plate. People like myself that are in a position to bring somebody else behind us and teach somebody behind us instead of gloating and living off our laurels and not educating and teaching people. You know, I put my life on the line all those years out there fighting crime and drugs. Am I active? I'm probably the only Red Hat patrol group or patrol group active, other than there's a brother named Gordon Fletcher in Ward 5 that's out there with the orange hats. But right now, but I'm the only one that's basically active doing that. But there was a lot of people out there that when I was doing it. A good friend of mine, Anthony Hood, who's one of the major commissions in the city. But the thing is that I put my life on there, and if you're going to be a leader, you have to put it on the line. If you really want to lead people and help your people out, you can't sit back and try to be validated by white people and think that just because you're in their company that you made it and you're doing well. I don't rest until my people are doing well.
Well, there it is. Ledroit Thorpe. Thanks, good brother. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you, man. Praise be to Allah. I appreciate it.
All right.